if you think about it, you're on a 10-mile run with somebody, a lot can happen right now. But we're sitting here in the Metaphor Club, and I hate to be cliche, but our runs are clearly, they're metaphors for life and they're metaphors for conversation. You have warm up, right? I don't stretch, but we go out easy. And when we go out easy, it's a lot of jokes. It's a lot of ribbing each other, right? Which is that kind of that social bonding phase. And that helps provide the comfort level so that when the run gets tough and your mind needs to wander and you start thinking about not only this tough run, but the tough issue in your life that week, it comes out. And the fact that we're going to be out there an hour and a half, 2 hours every Saturday with each other, we get real comfortable relating those stories to one another, and we know each other's backstory. We're willing to understand where that person's coming from, what they need from us in that moment, and it just becomes a great vehicle for us to kind of exercise that brotherhood.
Welcome to the 46th episode of Love, Growth, and Narratives. I'm Fredrick.
And I'm Tiffany.
So today we're away from home. We're at my work home now, the Metaphor Club, and we're talking to my run club, Black Men Run, the guys who got me running, the guys who got me moving around. And what I want to do is give them a chance to introduce themselves. I'm going to start on the right-hand side with the captain, Lawrence, who's one of the first people I met when I moved to Los Angeles, and the guy who actually introduced me to everybody else. So LG, say a little bit about yourself.
It's good to be here, Freddie. I mean, it's a pleasure to be on this podcast. I've been watching y'all from the beginning. I'm Lawrence Gilliam. I'm the captain of Black Men Run Los Angeles. I'm a Los Angeles native, born and raised in the Crenshaw district. And I'm one of the owners of the Metaphor Club, which is Freddie's work home.
I'm going to move over to Ray.
Ray Corona. I've been running with the club for about 2 years and change now. Started out a little bit with the BMR club out in Dallas, and came out here and found a home and making long drives to spend time with the Brotherhood every week.
Awesome. Stacy
Frantella II, LA native, born and raised in Inglewood, and now calling Long Beach my home. Been running with BMR for now 5 years. Took on the vice captain role, supporting LG, and cheering on and contributing to just making a safe place for Black men to run in LA.
All right, so I'd like to know a little bit more about what each of you do for a living.
So professionally, I am what you would call an ERP consultant. So enterprise resource planning, it's software. And the firm that I work with helps companies evaluate technology and implement it into their business, kind of optimizing everything that they do. So along with the Metaphor Club, that's where the bacon comes from.
So I'm an engineer at Lockheed Martin, and I support classified programs for U.S. government, and can't say a lot more than that.
Okay.
G6 clearance. So I am an outside sales rep professionally. I've been in sales for probably 25 years. Currently, I sell construction material for roofing. And that's.
And what's the other thing you do, Stacy?
I don't know, Freddie. Well,
property owner.
Yeah, I am a property owner, rental income, rental investments, and looking to build the empire, building a legacy so that I have something to leave for the future, whether it's traditional family or the kids.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing. So one of the first questions I would like to ask is, how has being part of this brotherhood help you with your mental health and your just overall physical health, being a Black man specifically?
Go ahead, Ray.
All right. So outside of the physical benefits of running and how that affects you in your mental, there's a lot of goodness that's in there. But being around people who are older and younger than you, who look like you, can a lot of times offer perspectives and things, because we're all going through different things, good and bad, in our personal lives. People are having issues at work or at home. People like Dre, who was just here, adding to his family. And it's good to get to have these types of conversations with good people who can offer different perspectives that create like a wholesome, diverse solution to things that just come up in natural conversations while we're on our 6 or 7 mile runs every Saturday.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And this question's for whoever wants to answer, but how do you feel like this run group is helping to create narratives around Black men and health?
Well, I'll be the color commentator of this group. Black Men Run is it's what it is. It's what it sounds like. It's literally Black men running. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we're not excluding walkers. We're not excluding joggers. I mean, we're a brotherhood. It's just something different about running with men and running with people who look like you, who can share your experiences. I mean, sometimes we'll, be in conversation, and if you really think about it, would you be talking this way? The tone in your voice, the laughter, the subject, if you weren't running with people who look like you. Like I can run, I do run with Ray, I run with you, Freddie, I run with LG. There's not a conversation that we don't have that I don't go into 100% knowing that I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to be looked at any differently. And more importantly, my brothers are going to understand what I'm talking about. Even if it's, a subject that's not plainly out there, they can feel what I'm talking about. They have had that experience, if not at the same time, at some point in their life. And then they'll bounce back and we'll have just a casual conversation. I know that I won't get that if I'm walking or running with certain people. Or simply put, people who are not Black, men who are not Black, because they can't relate. I mean, you can help them relate, but I don't have to do that in this group.
Yeah.
I can just be me.
Yeah. And I'd like to add a little bit onto that, because when I was getting with the group and I was running and I was going through my physical and other types of issues, being able to talk to Stacy, because Stacy would run with me even though I'd slow him down. Stacy would run with me, and he was going through his own stuff, and he and I could exchange information and talk in a vulnerable way without feeling weird about it, but honestly trying to help each other through what we were going through. And so I believe that's critical. I appreciate it.
For the record, for all of you guys who are watching, I am not fast. Freddie makes it sound like I run 5-minute miles. I don't. I'm like 8:30, 9:30-minute miles. So I've heard Freddie talk about me, on the podcast. I'm not that fast.
Well, I'm saying in comparison to me, you are. So fast is a relative statement there.
100%.
I appreciate it.
How does this group create space for emotional support, not just physical fitness?
I think Stacy really hit it on the head. So if you think about it, you're on a 10-mile run with somebody, a lot can happen right now. But we're sitting here in the Metaphor Club, and I hate to be cliche, but our runs are clearly, they're metaphors for life and they're metaphors for conversation. You have warm up, right? I don't stretch, but we go out easy. And when we go out easy, it's a lot of jokes. It's a lot of ribbing each other, right? Which is that kind of that social bonding phase. And that helps provide the comfort level so that when the run gets tough and your mind needs to wander and you start thinking about not only this tough run, but the tough issue in your life that week, it comes out. And the fact that we're going to be out there an hour and a half, 2 hours every Saturday with each other, we get real comfortable relating those stories to one another, and we we know each other's backstory. We're willing to understand where that person's coming from, what they need from us in that moment, and it just becomes a great vehicle for us to kind of exercise that brotherhood.
Yeah, and real quick, I wanted to ask. I kind of have my own answers to this, but I wanted to hear from you guys within the group. Who is the biggest talker during the run, and who is the one who's silently struggling during the run?
So the biggest talker in our runs, and he don't show up all the time, but it's our brother JT. He just talking nonstop throughout the run.
And singing.
Is talking and singing and giving us trivia throughout the run. He's probably the biggest talker. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
JT's a talker. Ray is pretty much what you see on camera. You don't hear on audio. But I won't say he's struggling, but he's probably one of our he's like a silent assassin.
It's that New York.
Do you attest to that, Ray? Or
No, I wanted to add something, but I don't want this to make the cut. So.
But I was also thinking about with LG, because especially when we used to run back in the day, LG would run around the pack taking pictures and talking to people, checking up on everybody, which I appreciated that he was always checking up on me while we were running. But I was also irritated because I'm like, what's wrong with this guy that he can run back and forth like this and have the wind to be able to talk?
I miss those days, man. I miss those days. So that, and that's interesting. So, we all have different journeys. I'm gonna stay on this metaphor, right? And 2 years ago, I was in really great shape.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was in the best shape of my life. I was turning 50. Let me rewind it. 4 years ago, I was turning 50 and, running faster times than I had ever run in my whole life. Right. And, but now things are different. I'm 2 heart attacks away from that, a major life incident in the family as well. And the running just took a back seat. Right. But this community and the accountability in this community is what keeps me fit today. Cause I wouldn't have run today if Black Men Run wasn't running on Saturday. So, yeah, it's interesting to hear you tell that story about when I was running circles, and now I'm with everybody else. Like I'm trying to make it up stocker, gasping for air.
This is the base. It's like you could run, you could run, 3-4 times a week, when you're training, and we've been there. And I think even like for me right now, I'm not training for anything, but I also don't feel the desire to run 3-4 times a week. But Saturday for sure. 7:30, 7:45-ish. That is going to be at least 6 miles in a week because these brothers right here.
Yeah, still a little CPT showing up.
I was gonna say it. I was gonna say it. I'm glad you said it, Freddie.
It wouldn't be right. It like, what would we look like if we actually started at 7:30?
Like upstanding African American men being respectful of each other's time.
Exactly.
That's what it would look like.
I wanted to take it back a step and ask, did you grow up involved in working out in sports, or is that something that came later?
I definitely grew up active, but it wasn't running. I grew up playing baseball, tennis, swimming. If you can follow the theme here, I didn't play basketball. I didn't play football. I played all the non-traditional Black sports. My mom taught tennis. And swimming was just something that she got me involved in. But I was doing that at a park in the inner city, Jesse Owens, shout out to Century and Western, and did a little soccer. And then as I got older, still active, I was involved in RBI baseball. So that's like inner city league play. And then from there, transitioned to high school baseball. And that's where it stopped. I didn't listen to the coach, told me to play summer ball between junior and senior year. I didn't, so got cut, and then that was that. But I ended up picking up running 2008. But I was still active, even the years between high school and 2008. I was still in the gym, but running didn't take over till 2008. And, the rest is history as far as running for me.
Right.
So I didn't really play any sports coming or in high school, or didn't live that type of active life growing up in New York City, and didn't really get into sports or anything until a little bit of things at ROTC in high school, and then I did football, played varsity for 1 year, which was my senior year. So for 1 year, I got to play left bench on the football team. But I stayed active, but not in any kind of organized fashion. And then as I got a little bit older, started paying more attention to my health. And when you're on the wrong side of 40, that's when you really got to start paying attention to the different levels, paying more attention to the numbers and how blood work comes back and those types of things. So I wanted to integrate this into my normal day to day, and to piggyback off of Stacy in the 6 mile run. I try to get a couple miles in during the week so that I'm ready for a Saturday. And then when we're picking up for longer runs, half marathons or fulls, we'll turn it up accordingly. But I try to be at least ready for Saturday. That way I'm not looking like a fool trying to chase these two guys, which happens often.
So I definitely grew up active. I was your traditional, I thought I was, going to play high school varsity basketball as a 10th grader. I ended up playing basketball pretty much every day of my life until I was 27 years old. And then I also played baseball growing up. I didn't start running though until I was 28 years old. So it was just one of those. I started running because I had a goal. I wanted to run a marathon, and I had a good set of friends running their first marathon. I was like, oh, let me jump in and train with those guys and run the marathon. So I started and just got hooked on running. And so, but yeah, it was always active though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that, I'm just getting back into running with you guys after all of my hip surgeries and stuff. But I remember when we were running before, especially running the street, you would have people who would talk to us while we're running. And I'm curious to what do you think was one of the funniest things that someone yelled out their car window to you?
Man, I don't, we get the cliche stuff, right? People yelling run for us all the time. And I actually cannot stand that when somebody yells run for us. But do you remember when I had the old gentleman on our street talk to us? He was a track coach. And this man, he's coached athletes for the last 40 years. And this man walks 5 miles a day. He's like 90 years old. I don't know if you remember, but he's like as fit as can be, right? And one of the reasons why I like running in this neighborhood is because I see guys that inspire me when he's been around since I was in high school. I've been seeing him. Right. And so it wasn't funny, but it was inspirational. And I remember we ran by him and I took the group back to make sure that we talked to him. Right. Because and he likes to talk. So he probably held us a little too long, but that's all right. You got to give our elders their time to express what they got to express to us. But, I can't think of a super funny. I can't think of anything super funny, but yeah. We definitely get more running in this neighborhood than at the beach because that's the other place that we run. And at the beach, everybody's there kind of to run or work out. So it's a little different situation. Here, we get, remember brother last week, you know what we do get is brothers giving us health tips while they sitting on the corner eating a burrito. That's always funny. Brother say, hey, and then brother says, don't run on that cement, man. That's gonna ruin your knees. Okay, well, but you sitting on the curb.
Yeah, but you're doing none of that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you, brother. We're gonna take that under advice.
That advice from someone who didn't even run home. So,
What would you say to young people to get them involved in this, to, inspire them and encourage them to get involved?
I would say, I mean, it's not much you can say to young people, right? But I would tell anyone who's trying to do this for fitness, don't let it go. Like you're doing it now and it's easy. You can wake up, you don't have to stretch. And you should. I would tell somebody young that if you're in your early 20s, late 20s, you want to be able to do this and feel like you're in your 20s when you're in your 40s. I don't feel like I'm 47. I don't feel like I'm 27 either. But mindset, I definitely feel like whatever I could do back then, I can still do now. And that's important for us, especially as Black men. Like our eating habits are different, when we're younger. And some of our eating habits stay the same.
Hold on, Stacey, except Lawrence. LG's eating habits are the same.
I've been eating the same thing since I was in high school. So we're here at the Metaphor Club on Crenshaw and Vernon, and there's a McDonald's on Crenshaw and 43rd. They know me well.
There's also a place called Delicious in the other direction.
I interrupt you, Stacey, but I'll correct you a little bit.
Yeah. Right.
That's changed the way they.
No, I was just about to say I'm guilty. Like I still have my, hey, listen, the Yardbird ain't never done nothing wrong to us, even when it's fried. But we can't eat like we did. So I would tell anybody young, just make sure that you're paying attention to, the changes in your body, the changes in your health, because you can do what you were doing when you were younger. You just have to do it smarter as you grow up. So that's my advice.
The whole thing on moderation, right? So you can't eat fried chicken every day.
And for advice for younger folks, I think that if you start these habits at an earlier age, it's easier to maintain it as opposed to picking it up at 40.
Absolutely.
Or 30, 40, or 50 years old, because your body is not used to that. You've had X number of years of inactivity. So when you try to activate joints and muscles and things that you haven't worked out before, you're more prone to injury. Strong knees are developed, especially when when you're younger. So when you get into your older years, you can get more miles out of them.
Yeah.
But it's definitely about that, and taking care of yourself in the long run. Take a step back and just look at your health as a big picture. You start and develop those habits early so that you can maintain a longer life, kind of like a financial investment plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, it's not even really about running. So when I talk to people my kids' age, and my kids are 23 and 27, they're going to naturally have the ability to do a lot of the things from a fitness perspective that they want to do. And so as long as they're doing something, and that something could be yoga, that something could be hiking, that something could be running, or maybe you're still playing ball out at the park or in a, in the league, but do something, because you're setting the stage, you're setting the mental and muscle memory, so that when you do get in your 30s and 40s and life gets a little bit more demanding of your time, you know how to fall back to that, to have that physical refuge, as a place for you to kind of round out your being. So do something, do what you like early, and then that sets you up to continue it on for the rest of your life. And I picked up running at 28, which is not super late, but it's I didn't even know I would like running until I was 30 years old, 28, 29 years old. So.
Yeah. Well, and also I wanted to ask, because all of us are in our 40s and 50s, and we have our little aches and pains. So what motivates you to get up on Saturday to come on out here and run?
For me, first thing is going to be the Brotherhood. So I live about 70 miles away from here, and I'm down here as early as I need to be every week.
First one here.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes the first one here. Every week, because of the Brotherhood. I know good and well that I can run up where I live in Palmdale. I can get my miles in over there, but I'm down here because of the faces and the personalities and the people that I interact with here. Love this group just enough that I have no problem driving down here every week. Sometimes I need a break out to avoid traffic on the way back, but I'm here every week because of the conversations that take place within those 6 miles, or the education that takes place between ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why I'm here. I mean, whether I feel like running or not, I want to be a part of this experience as often as I can. And so that it's the accountability factor, one, to make sure that we're here and we can consistently run. And I'm a credit Stacy for that, because during the pandemic, I was much more of the mindset that we only need to get together every couple of weeks or maybe once a month. That's enough. We're all checking in online. But Stacy was an advocate for saying, no, we need to have this space every week. And that's been awesome for the last 4 years.
Yeah, from day one for me, it was the Brotherhood. I can run. I mean, I live in an area where there's nothing but runners. I mean, where I live, I'm off a running path. So it's nothing to just get up and run at home. But to see these guys every week, to have the laughter, to have it's just the experience. It's literally like, not to switch gears or anything, but it's a mental health break from the rest of the week. I'm not thinking about anything, but I'm hanging out with my boys and we're running. And even, it's not even a thing of like right now, we're not training for anything. There's no races in the next, well, actually we do have a big one coming up here.
Sydney.
Mr. 6-star General,
Sydney.
about to turn 7, going to Sydney. But yeah, I mean, from day one for me, it's always been about the Brotherhood first and then the run.
Yeah. And I think, and then collectively, one of the things that we're all inspired to do is we run in this neighborhood. So we run in the Crenshaw district, which is, our multi-class African-American neighborhood in Los Angeles. And I love running up on a group of people and watching their face when they see 10, 12, 13, 14 Black men run by on a Saturday morning. We're affecting change, and we're being an agent of change, just to, come on out and join us. Or
Absolutely.
when do you guys run? Or where do you guys start? And so being that force in the neighborhood is important to us.
And it's still a trip, like even to be in a neighborhood full of us generationally, the Crenshaw district, View Park, Windsor Hills, Lamert Park, and still people are looking at us like it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
And switching back to talking about the narrative, it shouldn't be a big thing, even in our own neighborhoods, that we're doing something that everybody does. And that's what's kind of cool, about the fact that people are uplifting when they see us, whether they're giving us, the fist up, or they're clapping for us, or we get the crazy comments, y'all running a marathon. It's like, nah, we just, it's just a Saturday stroll. But, people still have that view of Black people don't run. It's like, no, they know we sprint. They know we hurdle
away from something.
Right. They know we're running away from something. But just to see us like outside running for health, that's not something that's common in our neighborhoods, and it should be. That's what we part of doing.
Yeah. And I love that it's kept becoming more common. I think there's a little bit less of that off factor than maybe, 5 or 6 years ago. There are a lot more runs down Crenshaw Boulevard. People are starting to get used to, we had a great event this year in the Crenshaw Mile. So people are starting to get used to that. But still, there's certain streets we run down, and you could tell anybody ran down the street in 5. I'm a Strava fanatic, so I'm looking at segments and what streets people run down all the time. And there's certain streets in this neighborhood ain't nobody with a Strava watch ran down in 10 years.
Wow.
And so I try to change that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump into that as well, because when I was going through, all of my physical issues and stuff, I would come out, even though I wasn't running.
Yep.
I would come out just to hang out with the brothers, because I honestly needed that to keep me going.
Right.
When times were getting tough. You guys were critical for me. And now that I can get back and at least try to start running back with you, what I do is charitably called a jog, but I'm getting back. I'm trying to get a little bit of speed back in me. But the whole thing is, regardless, I would be out here because of you guys, and that's very important. And so that's why I wanted us to have this conversation, because it's not just about running.
Absolutely.
It is about men coming together and being able to have conversations that people don't think men should be able to have.
Mm-hmm. And let me jump in there. So when we get together and we run, ladies, whether it's your husband, whether it's your boyfriend, whether it's your jump off, we out here just trying to run and just trying to have a good time. We ain't out here acting a fool. We ain't out here looking to do something foolish, but men need that. And, that's one of the things that Black Men Run is about. Because, there's a narrative out there that now run clubs are dating spots.
Oh.
And now it's, are you here for the run or are you here for the club? It's like, I'm here for the run. Always have been. I mean, if you're here for the club, cool. We love it, but that's why it was really important for me to say, yes, we need to do this on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
But then, we took it a little bit further. We got to choose wisely the spots of where we start and we stop.
Yeah.
So, we're here at the Metaphor Club, but we can walk to a place to grab something to eat. Just because the run is over doesn't mean that, the time is over. So we spend we'll either have coffee, we have a beer, we'll eat, and then, we'll go back to our homes and our families. But, when Freddie, when you weren't running and when you were always telling me, oh man, I'm gonna get back out there, I'm like, Freddie, you don't have to come out and run, a 8-minute mile. It's important for you to stay connected, because again, it's more than the run.
Absolutely.
We are more than a run club. That's one of our mottos.
Yeah.
So I would tell any brother, anyone who's out there, if you're in a run club, stay connected, even if you're injured, even if it's, an off cycle for you. This is a great community. And if you stick to what it is you're here for, so for me, I'm definitely here for the run, but I'm definitely here for the brotherhood.
And I think I think that BMR is it's a good 2-for-1, because we have our time together to bond and talk about issues and things that are going on in our lives while promoting health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
during the 6 miles, we're doing both of those at the same time. We talk about life issues. There's some pretty mean jokes being thrown around while we're on these runs, but we cover all the spots while promoting health and wellness. So that it's nothing but goodness coming out of the time that we spend together here.
Yeah, I'm a pretty social guy. So if I wasn't doing this, I'd be drinking at the bar. And so, so this is optimal, right? This is optimal for me because I can rib these guys and talk junk, and even have one beer after, you know. But at the same time, I've gotten 6 to 8 miles of running in, right? And on top of that, I need to make sure that I can stay in shape enough to do that 6 to 8 miles. So that's going to influence what I do during the week,
Oh,
right?
I thought you meant you need to stay in shape to be able to drink.
That too. I'm gonna have, you know, that too.
Gotta have something to run for.
Right.
So while the physical is undeniable, what you get from physical, but the mental part too, right? Like, believe it or not, I ran at one point. I was in Black Girls Run. Shout out to Black Girls Run.
Shout out.
And I did that for some years and ran in this area as well. And I felt mentally it just helped me relieve stress and manage things better. Did you find that as well?
I mean, the mental and emotional aspect of running is undeniable, right? You got the physical part of all the you know, the endorphins, and I can't even think of all the other things that are being, you know, released in your brain that kind of stimulate calmness and creativity while you're running. But so there's that, right? There's just the plain old, just you can't get around the physical part of it. You're going to have time to have mental clarity, and if you're going through things, that time for yourself to either, you know, think about them or just put them away, whatever it is you need to do that day is undeniable, right? But then you add the brotherhood aspect on top of it, and it just becomes you know, an exponentially beneficial thing for us to do.
Yeah. One of the other things I was thinking about as you were talking, I believe it was L.A. Times had a thing about Black run clubs in L.A., and we weren't on it. And I remember, you know, on our whole group chat and everything, we were all talking about, you know, man, that's messed up that we weren't on the list. But LG said the critical piece to it. What was that?
Well, we weren't on that list really for 2 reasons, but the main reason we're on that list is we're not a traditional run club, and
Right.
that we don't exist like most run clubs do.
Yeah.
We're inclusive of anybody who wants to come run with us, but by and large, you know, we're here to be here for each other, and we're not a hey, everybody come run with us type place.
Right.
So we're not, you know, and that's not the nature of most of the other run clubs, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons why we weren't on there. Yeah. I was being very, very political in that answer.
You did say 2 weeks.
We were talking to Lawrence, not LG.
I'd like to ask you, what's a personal milestone you've hit just doing this, being in the run club and just running?
Running the full was a milestone. I never thought I would approach one. I never even thought about it. I thought
Full marathon, the full 26
full 26.2.
Yeah.
I always thought that half was good enough for me, and actually it didn't take a lot of convincing from these guys.
Yeah.
It literally was like, Ray, you should sign up for LA Marathon. Okay, I'm doing it right now.
Awesome.
And the training obviously is there's a lot of work that goes into the training, but then when I was done and I crossed that finish line, and you know, people came out to see me and these guys are screaming my name, that brought me a second or third win that I didn't feel I had, and I was able to look back and say, wow, I did that. So that's a really big milestone for myself.
Awesome.
Yep.
I would say my milestone was definitely the full marathon. To this day, after I've already ran 4 marathons, I still get all the BS about what I used to say about marathoners.
Yes, and I gave you a lot of that BS because you swore up and down that you would never
Swore up
run a
and
marathon.
down.
There's 2 things. He
Left
wasn't going to
and
run a
right.
marathon, and he wouldn't run hills. And who's the one want to run View Park Hills all the time? So it's a whole new Stacy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. But that was my milestone. I told myself I would never run one. I didn't see the need to do it. And I think it was because the half marathon had become popular. The half marathon had become a great thing to do, and as soon as you're done with it, you can go party. You know, you can have 2 or 3 beers right after, and then still go do what you need to do. But what I did find out is it was a mental block that I had. I had been running so much that people would tell me, "You good to run a marathon?" I'm like,
Yeah.
hell no, I'm not running this marathon. Not because and I would tell people it's not a can't do, it's a won't do.
Yeah.
But once I got past that mental block, and told myself, okay, I'm doing it. And the first thing I had to do was say it out loud. So, you guys know, Freddie, you know, I'm big on whatever you put out in the atmosphere, that's what's stopping you, or that's what's going to propel you.
Right.
And so, you know, when I hear you say, oh man, I'm gonna get out there one day with y'all, but not today, you know, I'm like, hey, no, you can today.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you know, I ran the full in LA, and after
And
I
you
ran it
fast, that full.
Hey, credit this dude. Credit this dude right here.
Yeah.
LG was instrumental in keeping me on point. And when I crossed the finish line, crossed it with this man, and broke down for a minute because it's definitely an emotional.
Oh yeah.
It's an emotional milestone. It's an emotional high, and yeah, I was like, I knew I could do it all these years. I didn't want to, and so once I told myself I can, I mean, even the up to the weekend, the night before, you know, my girlfriend was upset with me because she was like, "You're not enjoying it. You're not enjoying the experience, and people like love you and they're gonna cheer for you." And I couldn't see that. All I could see was I don't know if I could get to 26.2. And when I was running, you know, we were at what, mile 18, mile 19, and everybody's cheering, and I'm feeling like this is great, right? I still had more to finish, but it was like, yeah, I can do this. And when I finished, it was like, all right, I'm definitely gonna do another one. But I didn't put it out there. But now, like I said, even to this day, if I told somebody I'm running a full next week, somebody would remind me right away.
Yep.
What?
I remember.
What? Running fools, man? Who this?
Oh yeah, you a full marathon
Oh,
runner
man.
now?
You are loud about it too, man. I'm not
Loud about it.
I am not doing this.
Loud. Loud.
Marathon running
Wow.
full now.
But this is gonna sound cheesy, but like the big milestone for me is watching y'all. Like I watch you run your first marathon, watch you run your first marathon, watch you run your first marathon, and that is so fulfilling. Like
Yeah.
just, you know, whatever part I could play in any of that is why I could want to be out here.
And you were a huge part, especially for me, getting me going, you know. Especially like when we would do like the larger runs and you were going back and forth and you always made sure to come and check on me because I was normally in the rear, you know. You would always make sure that you made your way back there to check on me and to make sure I'm okay. And you checked on everybody, and you don't know how much of a push that gives people who are about ready to give up.
And so I want to piggyback off of that, Freddie. So on top of the physical milestone, you guys were kind of touching on it. The understanding of the mental grit that I had and discipline that it took. After, you know, a lot of people will look at those of us running in a marathon or half marathon and say, wow, so and so is really doing their thing. They're running fast, not realizing that there were months of grit,
Yes.
mental grit behind that. And
Absolutely.
a lot of it starts right there. Get up in the morning. Oh, I'm going to go do this run. Or if I'm here at 5:30 to start a run, I'm leaving Palmdale an hour and change before that, which means I'm going to sleep super early on Friday, which means I'm not going out to eat. I'm not drinking. There's just so many things on that checklist that prepare me and us to run that 26. It's so much more, but coming to that understanding of myself of just how much mental grit and discipline I had
Absolutely.
propels me in a different direction to say, if I can put this much work into this, there's a lot more that I can accomplish in different spaces of my life.
And that's a critical point
Very
when it comes down to running like this, is it does open your mind up to other. It did for me, because I was never really a runner except when I was in the Army. That was because I was forced to, but I was never really wanting to run and enjoying it that way. And but when you see yourself getting stronger and see yourself getting better, it does make you look at other parts of your life and say, okay, how can I, use this for everything else? And it does translate. Absolutely does. Yeah. So appreciate that. Real quick, can you guys think of any conversations or moments that you had with one of us that kind of stuck with you over this time?
I can think of one in particular with you, man, because I ran with you the day between my 2 heart attacks. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
We were out in the valley, and I had a heart attack the night prior and didn't know it. Thought it was a back spasm. And so I go out on what I call a light run. And I remember specifically, I was like, I'm just going to be me and Freddie go kick at this run because I ain't trying to run fast at all. This is when I'm in the top shape of my life. And so me and Freddie are running through the valley, and Freddie's leaving me. And I'm like, something's amiss.
Yeah.
But I don't think I had a heart attack on that run. But the next day I had the second heart attack. But that run with you will always stick in my mind because I remember running thinking, Freddie's faster than he was the last week.
I just remember we got a free pair of shoes after
we did, and you won a free pair of Sauconys, exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean that was a wonderful run, you know. And but for me, it was like spurts of where I felt like I was okay, and then there was other spurts where I was like, man, I'm tired. But you know, so you helped me through those spurts where I was like really tired.
So no, I don't want to get into too much of the detail, but like personally, there was a time where I had like a back-to-back. It was one weekend some months ago. Like a dog died, and then something else happened the next day.
Yep.
And I remember the love and support that I had from this group. There were people who were close to me who were just like really hands off, but this group had people checking on me. People just, hey Ray, how you doing? Okay, we'll see you Saturday. Or hey Ray, if you ever want to talk, I'm here for you. Those were some of the conversations that have stuck with me. So this has affected me in a personal way when I realized these are people that I've known just for 2 years tops, some less than that, who showed me a level of care that people I've known for years up the hill who just kind of just let me be, I would say, for lack of better words. So on a personal note, those were one of the conversations, but since it's personal, it stuck with me and sits in my heart.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm like Ray. I won't go into any details, but a real emotional point in my life. No, you good. But these two guys right here, LG was definitely there for the support I needed to talk to another man about what I was going through, and this guy right here telling me if I needed a place to stay. He's got an open room for me. Thank God I didn't have to use that, but it was still there. And
That would have cooked, right?
you would have barbecued the crab legs.
Yeah. We're not gonna talk about what goes down in Palmdale when he throws his come out the Palmdale Palooza.
The Palmdale Palooza. You just renamed it. The Palmdale Palooza. If you know, you know. But yeah, definitely some high level talks. When we're running some for lack of a better word, low level talks, and everything in between. Like you just never know what you're going to talk about. Sometimes we're talking about real estate. Sometimes we're talking about financial literacy. Sometimes we're just talking about
Wu-Tang.
Ain't nothing quit. You know what I'm saying? That's just what we do.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is a lot of vulnerability is happening here. Would you say that you've always been that way, or has this brotherhood helped you become more vulnerable?
For me, I've always been an open book. I never really thought about keeping my business to myself because I didn't feel I was that important. That's changed definitely as I've gotten older and within the last few years. I don't put all my business out there. Real G's move in silence type stuff. But with this group in particular, it definitely has left that door open. So if there's anywhere where I am going to be vulnerable, it's going to be here.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I said earlier, I'm not going to be judged. I don't have that feeling at all. I don't give judgment. If these brothers need anything from me, they can definitely ask. They can expect that in some way I'm going to show up. Because none of us really know how to show up in a vulnerable moment, right? You see,
we're learning.
Yeah, we are learning because we weren't taught this when we were younger, especially as Black men.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
And we're still fighting that fight of if I want to be vulnerable, I'm gonna be vulnerable. If I want to cry, I'm gonna cry. If I don't, I'm not.
Right.
If I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna talk. If I you know, we're still learning how to manage that. But within this group, like, that's definitely a place where I'm just like, I'm gonna let it all hang out. And I'm gonna have some brothers who are gonna look at me and because they're not ready to take that step. And then I'm gonna have the guys that know me step in and say what they need to say or do what they need to do to be there for me.
Yeah.
So I think this group has helped me with vulnerability and expressing that, because growing up in the household that I did and the neighborhoods that I did and environment have created, I would kind of call it a tough exterior. And that doesn't allow, I've learned that that doesn't allow people in.
Yeah.
And we all need community. We need each other. I've learned here a lot more than other places in my life that we can hold these spaces with each other, and we all care about each other at the end of everything. We can disagree on things, but that doesn't mean that I love anyone less or they love me any less. And that was something that I've learned here with this group. You know, we come from different walks of life, but we all have this at least two things in common: the brotherhood and the promotion of health and wellness.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you know, when I was running a lot, I would run with several different groups, you know, depending on the night, because everyone would have different runs on different nights and everything. And you get into a bit of a routine. But then when, you know, my hip really got bad to the point where not only I couldn't run, I couldn't walk, you know, a lot of that goes away because some people only know you through running. And so you lose so much of that when you're away from it. But with you guys, it didn't change. You know, you guys were still checking on me when I was going through my surgeries. And, you know, after 3 hip replacements, I mean, what it does to you emotionally is just, I mean, it's really hard. And having friends that are calling and checking on you, you you don't know how critical that is. And that also gave me the motivation to get back out here and start running again, you know, because unfortunately the other thing that helps depression is key lime pie. And
Right. For me, it's gummy bears.
you know, so you know, it gives me that endorphin rush I wasn't getting from running. The problem is the, you know, the harmful side effects. But but no, I appreciate you guys, and this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys. Seriously.
And like, we should just take a moment really to like, we appreciate and we love Black Men Run. The national organization, the chapters all over the country, the fact that we can go out of this country and find a run, ourselves in a run group. But like, I want to like thank the first group that I ever ran with, which was the Republic, Long Beach Run Club, Movement Runners, Good Vibes, Compton Run Club, help me out here.
Keep it 100 for sure.
Keep it 100. Who is instrumental in a Juneteenth celebration down here. Happy Juneteenth to everybody. Because is this y'all Juneteenth celebration show?
It can be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but let's not forget about Juneteenth. Yeah. If you don't know, you know. But a lot of groups got us here to where it may look like, you know, we've been running Black Men Run all our lives or since we've been in a run club, but it's been a community of runners who's gotten us here. And now we've just taken a step forward to say, we want to make sure that Black men know that they have a place to run, walk or jog or ride a bike. You know what I'm saying? Or just wait for us to finish to congregate with us and have coffee talks.
Yeah.
I want to add on to that just a little bit because then this is specific to the LA run community. There are lots of awesome groups to run.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of awesome run clubs. Stacy mentioned a few, right? I mean, I run with almost all of them. I run with Keep It Run 100. Our one with Movement Runners and Good Vibes and Wolfpack and Compton Run and Latinos Run. So, and being a part of Black Men Run does not preclude me running with
Right.
those clubs,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
You can be 100% in whatever local run club you're in, but if you need this space, we're here for you.
Yeah.
And I think they've also made a space for us, because we're not excluded from the run club community.
Right.
They just know, like, this is what we're about, this is what we represent, this is what we're trying to project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if those guys or girls are running down the street, we all still say what's up to each other. It's hard in LA because everybody's trying to do their own thing and build their own communities. I think every 3.5 minutes there's a new run club in LA.
Absolutely.
But
there are a whole bunch of
but this is us, right? This is who we represent. This is who we are. But we don't lose love for anybody who's in this running community.
the point that you made is important, because although Black Men Run was my first run club and the one that I feel the strongest about, as I was going through this process of getting in shape and getting myself together, I couldn't have done it without Butter and Keep It Run 100, with Kit, with Movement Runners, and Ray Harvey down in Compton Run Club. Those were the three other run clubs that I was with. And the other thing is, because different run clubs, they run different ways. I mean, Keep It Run 100, it's pretty much the same route, whereas with Movement, Kit don't know where he's going to go. He just says, I'm going to make a left and I'm going to make a right.
We're going to stop.
Exactly.
Take photos.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do a line.
Yeah.
Shot out real smooth.
Not real smooth.
And with Ray and Compton Run Club, it's just the love of that community that he exudes and he brings out and makes sure that everybody's out, whether you're running, walking, or whatever. So yeah, I do want to make sure that we do also highlight the other run clubs and the lack of exclusivity. And when I was running the marathon and when I was running the half marathon, the Rose Bowl half, how if I needed something to drink or something to put in my stomach, any of the run clubs were running out there to help you. That's another awesome thing. You guys want to talk some about that?
Well, that I don't know if that's unique to LA. I mean, I've been in some other cities where it's not quite that way, but we're not set tripping in the run community in LA, right? I mean,
BMR.
you can run with, and when you run these races and you see those run club cheer stations out there, you run by Blacklist cheer station, they're cheering for you. You run by Movement Runners cheer station, they're cheering for you. And likewise, a runner from Blacklist runs past the BMR cheer station, we're cheering for you. And I can show up at Blacklist on a Wednesday, and I can show up at Good Vibes on a Tuesday, and I can show up at Keep It Run 100 on a Thursday, and Movement on a Tuesday, and it's all love, and it's not an issue that as to what run club you claim in. So.
Yeah, I think that we all are parts of different run clubs, but globally we're all one run club.
I really appreciate the conversation. We're gonna start to wrap this up, but I wanted to see from each one of you guys if you had some parting thoughts here.
I mean, I want to just start by saying that this has been an awesome experience. One, to watch y'all and y'all grow the message that you guys are just shouting to the world that, hey, let's have intelligent conversations and be rational and be ourselves in those conversations, right? And let's fight the narrative that we got to always be confrontational every time we have a disagreement. And that's really I love that, And so to be here and to be on your podcast has been a pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you, LG.
I've learned a lot from this club, from a mental aspect, mental wellness, physical, and like a lot of things in life, the first mile is the hardest. Or
Absolutely.
In jiu-jitsu, the hardest belt to earn is the white belt.
Yeah.
And I've learned from this group, or seen it firsthand, that getting started is the hardest part. Everything else gets easier.
Yes.
I mean, closing thoughts. be yourself in whatever community you're in, and find your tribe. And you know, if it's running, you know, find your tribe. It is so much easier to run in a group than it is by yourself.
Absolutely.
I would say that the lone runners definitely have a fortitude that is like no other, because there's a lot of mental, battles that you have to fight. But running in a group is so much easier, because you can just one step at a time get going. You have a full-blown conversation. I realized you ran 10 miles and you did it in like an hour and 30 minutes. Time being relative or whatever. But yeah, you know, find your community, find your tribe, and never stop doing what you love to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I really thank you guys for taking time out after a run to sit down on the couch, you know, all
7 miles a day, baby. 7 miles.
and talk to us. I don't want to leave this without also giving a special shout out to my work home, the Metaphor, that is unfortunately closing. Got LG is one of the owners, and got Lawrence Ross a little bit off camera here, who's also one of the owners. And so, you know, giving us this space to have this conversation. And I really appreciate you guys. And so for this 46th episode of Love, Growth, and Narratives, I'm Fredrick.
And I'm Tiffany.
Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.